I have wanted to make this video for a little bit, talking about fear. You might not know it, but fear probably impacts your life a lot more than you'd like to know. I know for me, fear has held me back in the past, and I'm dealing with a lot of fear right now, and it's even scary to talk about fear, and I'm afraid, see what I'm saying? It's this cycle. But it's a little nerve-wracking to talk about being afraid here on a YouTube channel where you're supposed to be this big badass who has everything figured out and who's saying all of these cool things to you guys. But look, we all get afraid. I think courage is not the lack of fear. I think courage is being able to act while facing that fear. The greatest people in our world, the greatest people in your life, I'm sure, feel afraid all the time. Look back to when you were a kid. Your parents, they were your superheroes, they were your superstars. I'm sure they felt afraid a lot of the time, not knowing exactly what to do. You might have been their oldest kid and they had no damn idea how to raise a kid. They were afraid that they would mess up. But look, you turned out all right. They did a good job, and even though they were afraid probably most of the time, you might have had your parents lose their job, or you might have had a natural disaster, or your house catch on fire. I know that happened to my family, but my parents are some of my favorite inspirations in my life because I'm sure they were afraid about a lot of things, but they never let on that they were afraid. They just kept trucking, they kept going, and they taught me a lot about how to act in the face of fear. When our house burnt down, I was a young kid and I was afraid. I was afraid for where I was going to live. I was afraid that all of my things were burnt down. I remember just worrying so much about my favorite baby blanket because I was a little guy when that happened, and all of my Sega Genesis video games. My parents were strong, they were stoic, they had everything figured out. Looking back on it, that must have been terrifying, honestly, but they were a great example of how to act in the face of fear. If you're facing something that's making you afraid, go ahead, talk about it. It's not gonna make it worse, it's gonna make it better. When you keep things bottled in and you don't go to the doctor, or you don't go to a therapist, or you don't talk to your teachers, or you don't talk to your boss, it's gonna make everything worse, especially at work. Your boss is going to be able to tell if you are afraid, and if you feel like you're about to mess up all the time, you might bring that into fruition. Instead, just talk to your boss about how you feel about your coworkers or how you feel about your position. Life is always changing, and we don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. There are so many things that are out of our control. We just need to keep pushing forward, and when we get afraid, we can't let it beat us down. It's hard. It's easier said than done, but it's important, and that, in my opinion, is what separates the successful people from those who are riddled with regrets. The more that you can push through your fear and take action, the more the universe will reward you. I'm taking that from one of my friends here on YouTube, Benzo, Lorenzo. He says the more action you take, the more the universe will reward you. And I believe in that. If you're too afraid to talk to that girl at school that you have a crush on, nothing's ever gonna happen. If you're too afraid to apply for your dream job, if you're too afraid to go to the interview because you feel like you might not make it, you're never gonna get your job. You're never gonna have your dream job. And I'll tell you right now, I deal with a lot of fear on a regular basis. If you watched my earlier video, I'll put a link up there. You can see that I have a lot of health issues that are terrifying. Even though the doctors have said I don't have cancer, and I agree with that, I understand that. I'm taking their word for it. It's still scary to have issues downstairs. It's hard to go through pain all the time, and my hair thinning, I'm afraid I might go bald. I'm afraid that people might stop liking my YouTube videos, or people might think that my beats don't sound right. But look, the fear has got to be brushed aside. There's some fear that's important. Like, yes, you should be afraid. You should be afraid of heights and standing on the edge of a cliff because you might fall. That's rational. But think of some of your fears and determine whether they're rational or irrational, because you might realize that some of your fears are extremely irrational. For me, what does it matter if my hair falls out? What does it matter if I have a little bit of energy loss? These are things that I can deal with. These are things that I can push through, And the fear of those small health issues should not keep me from pushing forward on my writing business and my writing career, and they should not keep me from pushing forward on this YouTube channel and with my music. Just as your fears, your irrational fears, should not keep you from becoming the best version of yourself, because you have an amazing life to live and you have supporters all around who love you and care about you. Even if you don't, I'm here. I know that might sound cheesy. There's a lot of YouTubers who say that kind of stuff, but I'm trying to come from a real position. I'm trying to be as real as I can. I'm still gonna have funny videos. I'm still gonna make my music, but I wanna have these real videos that hopefully help you guys a little bit. I'm just here to say fear sucks so bad. And fear, I'm not super religious, but I do believe in a lot of things. Let me say this, I'm not outwardly religious. I don't like talking about it as much, but I really enjoy when people say that fear is the devil's way of keeping you down. When you're about to crack through something huge, when you're about to go to grad school to become a doctor or an engineer, or when you're about to finally talk to that person that you know is going to be one of your best friends, but you're nervous because they might be one of the cool kids, or when you're afraid to enter that golf tournament or that skateboard competition, it's the fear, it's the devil, it's the adversary. Or if you're just looking at it from a universal standpoint, the universe, just the resistance, the natural resistance of things, is trying to keep you from becoming who you're supposed to be. And you got to push through that fear, because usually you're the most afraid when you have really, really cool things right around the corner. I hope that this video helped you a little bit. If it did, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. I'm just out here trying to push through my fear by making this video, because honestly, there's a couple things about me that I'm afraid of when I'm on camera. I'm afraid of, I won't get into it because I don't want to even give that power, but I'm here pushing through, and maybe there's something you can do today. Maybe you can go and finally mountain bike down that trail you've been super afraid of, but you know that you have the skill to do it. Maybe it's finally time to take that driver's test. Maybe it's time to go and talk to that girl or that guy that you know could be an awesome part of your life or your future. Go for it. I care about you guys a ton. Thank you so much for this little family that we're growing here on YouTube. I'm gonna be real. I'm trying so hard to do these every day. I gotta push myself to do it. I'm gonna put up a beat a day. We'll do it. We'll do it together, guys. Don't let fear stop you. Thanks.